Hello, and welcome to the latest in our series of videos. I'm Sarah Blackburn. I'm from ClerksWells. We do creative digital solutions, and I'm an Office 365 consultant. Today, I'm going to be talking about groups within Office 365. Firstly, we're going to examine the different types of Office 365 groups that you can create and why there are some differences. Then we're going to look at the different mechanisms for creating groups and what gets created automatically with your group. Finally, I'm going to give you some tips on how to avoid creating unnecessary groups and how to name your groups well. So what is a group? Microsoft call it a service, which isn't necessarily that easy for us to understand. First thing is to know that people are added to groups, so it's a way of managing people, grouping them together, people that have a common purpose. Secondly, applications are added to your group. So you can add a Microsoft team or a SharePoint site, so those people get access to that application and all can be managed centrally together. It just doesn't have to be just the applications that are on the screen. It can be anything in Office 365. The permissions for those applications are managed using that group. So what are the different types of group? All the Office 365 groups can be managed using Azure Active Directory or AD, but there are differences in how they behave depending on where they were created. First, there are Outlook groups. An Office 365 group that's created from Outlook will behave in one way. Then there are Teams groups and Yammer groups that will behave in slightly different ways to each other. So when are the groups created in Office 365? It happens in different places. If you create a group in Outlook, a team site in SharePoint, a group in Stream, or a plan in Planner, you're creating an Outlook group. If you create a team in Microsoft Teams, then that's a Teams group, or a group in Yammer, then that's a Yammer group. But all of these actions will create a Microsoft Office 365 group. So there are some things that you need to be careful of in order to ensure that you don't get more groups than you need. It could get confusing for people to belong to groups of different names with similar purposes, and it'd be hard to remember who was in which group and why you should use each one. So it helps to understand the things that you can do to create an Office 365 group and what happens when you do that. So if you go to Outlook and you create a group, then that group becomes visible in Outlook. A SharePoint site is created automatically. The group is visible in Stream, and you can add a video to that group. And then the group is visible in Planner so that you can choose that group to add your new plan to as you create it. The same in Microsoft Teams. The group is visible for you to create a team based on that group. That group won't be visible in Yammer. In SharePoint, when you create a team site, it creates the Office 365 group, including the access from Outlook and Stream, and the options in both Planner and Teams to create a plan and the team, respectively. In SharePoint, if you create a communication site, you don't get a group because those sites are quite different. They're designed for publishing information rather than group collaboration. In Stream, if you create a group, it creates all those things, the Outlook group, the SharePoint site, the opportunity in Teams and Planner. In Planner, if you create a plan, it goes ahead and creates a new group for you. And that's why it's really important in Planner to choose the option to create a plan from an existing Office 365 group, unless you wanted to create a new group. Again, with the group, you're getting access from Outlook and Stream to the group, and the option in Teams to create a team based on your new group. The important bit in Planner is that it says create new plan and not create new plan and a new group together. We have a video in Planner if you're interested in knowing more. In Teams, it creates the SharePoint site. You can see the group in Stream and create a plan for that group, but you don't automatically see the team listed in the Groups section in Outlook, although you can access a team from Outlook if you know the address. It's easier to manage team members and so on from the interface from within Teams. The last one on our list, Yammer. If you create a group, it's going to be available to see in Outlook and Stream. It creates the SharePoint site, plus the option to create a plan from that group in Planner. but crucially, it isn't visible to create a team in Teams. If you see from my table, Yammer groups are the only ones that you can see in Yammer. There is no option to create a Yammer group from an existing Office 365 group, unlike in Teams or Planner. So that's one of the key things that you need to know. If you're using Yammer and Teams together, you might end up having duplicate groups. Yammer can't see Teams groups can't see Yammer groups. It might be in reality that people in a Yammer group don't match up with the people in a Teams group as they're for different purposes. But you might end up with two groups of similar names, so it's important to name them clearly. The third place that you might have something of a similar name is the SharePoint communication site. They don't have a group attached. So you might have a team or Outlook group including a SharePoint site called Marketing Team, and that's for the team to work collaboratively. A Yammer group, which includes the SharePoint site, called Marketing Discussion, to invite a wider group of people to discuss or suggest marketing topics. And a SharePoint communication site called Marketing Updates, which is for publishing information about what the marketing team is doing. So when do you need a new group? It's principally at the start of a new project or when you're setting up a new team. You're bringing together a new group of people. Be careful not to create groups at any other time. It's best practice to look and see if a group already exists that matches before creating. Because of the self-service nature of creating groups, and that groups get created when you're doing other tasks, such as creating a plan, a team, or a team site, it means that people can create them from a range of different locations and can easily mean that you end up with multiple similar groups in name, composition, and purpose. It's easy to miss that you could have selected an existing group instead of creating a new one. Global tenancy administrators can lock down who can create groups to avoid this, and there are various third-party tools available to help them in keeping things neat. However, turning off creation does restrict the easy self-service setup that was put there by design by Microsoft. Finally, we'd love to hear from you. If you're looking to implement or improve your intranet, or need help in adopting Office 365, including Microsoft Teams, we'd be really happy to help you. Send us an email, hello@clarkswell.com, or click on the link below to subscribe to our newsletter. Watch out for the next video in our series, Working Collaboratively in Microsoft Teams.